Hey guys, so this is the second video I'm making today. If you notice, I'm wearing the same shirt as the last video. I just wanted to go ahead and make two videos today so that it can hold you guys over till the next time I make a video. I never know how long it's going to be. I'm busy in the process of moving, doing stuff at work. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and I don't always have access to my computer to even make these videos or edit them. So my topic today is about what happens when you default on your student loan. If you just put it default student loan, Google that, you're going to find everything, and every single article, every single video is talking about all the horrible things that can happen. And there is a lot of really bad stuff that can happen. If it's a federal loan, they can take your Social Security, your tax refunds. If it's a private loan, they can sue you, get wage garnishment. And while, because of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, they can't say that they're going to take your house or your car, they actually can if they sue you and win a judgment against you. So it's some pretty scary stuff, and I want to make this video to put out there that if you get into a situation where you default on your loans, it is not the end of the world, okay? And I feel like every financial advice or advisor that you'll find, every article that you'll find, every video on YouTube is going to tell you, you're fucked. But the thing is, you're not, okay? You're not. And you just need to take a deep breath and realize that this isn't all bad. And while you shouldn't default on your loans, I'm not trying to get you to. Some people, like myself, I've defaulted on 3 loans. Some people could not make the payment. They busted their ass. They worked 2 or 3 jobs. They tried to get help from parents or from wherever. And no matter what, your loan payments were too much. And in my case, my loan providers would not work with me at all. Because when you get into this topic, that's the first thing everybody tells you is, oh, call your loan provider. Tell them you can't make the payment. They'll lower the payment, or they'll put you in a deferment. No, they won't. No, they won't. No, they don't. And in fact, up till last year, when I finally got caught up with my loan payments, when I was behind, I would call into Navient or AES or Great Lakes, and they refused to speak to me about anything regarding my loans until I had paid off the balance current. So I couldn't call in and say, hey, I owe you guys $500 plus this next payment's coming up. I can't make it. What can we work out? You can't do that because they absolutely refused to speak to you about it. So here's why you're not screwed, okay? I have defaulted on 3 loans. And 3 loans? Yeah, 3 loans. They're big loans. They're all around $30,000, $40,000. I think one of them's almost $50,000. So this isn't like some small federal loan I'm talking about. They're all 3 private. And there are a few things here that I'm going to point out. Now, I know all the comments on this video are going to be like, well, you're just in fantasy land, and defaulting is such a horrible thing, and, here's all the horrible things that can happen. Well, I know all the horrible things that can happen. And I'm not talking about them in this video because they're everywhere on the internet, and I'm sure you guys are going to put them in the comments section anyway, so I'm not going to talk about the bad parts. What I'm going to talk about is the good part that nobody hears about, because that's important to include in the conversation as well. So my first point is, if they put you in collections for your past due amount, or if you are just reading up on what would happen if you defaulted and you hear all of the negative things that can happen, you're really scared that they're going to sue you and they're going to garnish your wages or take what you have. And that's true, they can do that, okay? But there's a few things that prevent that from happening. One thing is time. There are so many people defaulting. It takes a very long time for them to contact you about it. And the next thing is, if you start getting collection letters on this defaulted student loan, look at where the collectors are from. If they're from out of state, you basically don't have to worry. All right. If they're getting ready to sue you, they'll find a debt collector that practices in your state. The second thing is, if you have defaulted on these loans, you can also rehabilitate these loans. That's something that people don't talk to you about. Now, I don't know a lot about that process. I don't know if you talk to the collection agency or if you talk to the original creditor, which would be your student loan company. I'm not sure how that works, but that's actually something that's pretty frequently done. And I think that you have to make an agreed upon payment for 12 or 18 months straight or something like that, and they will do that. Basically what it is, and this makes no sense, but the way the laws are written, is that private student loan companies do not have to work with you as much as the federal government does, as far as lowering your payment or extending your terms or in some way making the loan affordable for you to pay so that you don't default. However, once you default on it, some of those restrictions are taken away, and you can actually get some help from these people. So part of it is regulations against the student loan industry that make no sense, that allow them not to help you. Now, it is mostly that they're unwilling to help you, but there are some good people out there that work for those companies that will try to work with you. And once you default, you open up their ability to do that. Another thing, the third thing that you can work with is settling. So let's say, for example, you have a $30,000 loan that you defaulted on. That $30,000 loan, let's say, hangs out for a year or 2 years, and either they contact you, you contact them. Let's say you have $15,000 saved up. Well, they know there's a statute of limitations, in my state it's 7 years, that after that point, you don't have to pay that. So they're going to try to collect on it, whether it's taking you to court or talking with you and trying to twist your arm into paying. But they will settle with you. Now, if it's a collection company, they have bought that debt from the original creditor for probably 5-10 cents on the dollar. Well, you can, if you can save up $15,000, then you can offer them, let's say you offer them 25 cents on the dollar, right? That'd be $7,500. They're probably not going to take that. That's not enough profit for them. But they might negotiate up to 50 cents on the dollar. That's $15,000. That's $30,000 of debt you just paid off. And if you work it out with them in the right way, they will mark it as paid in full. They will mark it, or it'll completely show as a closed account. Now, here's the thing. If you've read anything of the scare tactics that people put online about what happens when you default, they're going to say, well, if you do that, if you make a settlement with them, you're going to have to pay taxes on the difference as if it's income. And that is true. That is true for the normal person. But if you are a person who defaulted on their loans because they basically didn't have any money, it probably doesn't apply to you. And the reason for that is because you're technically insolvent. Like in my situation, I have a lot of student loans. So if I get a $15,000 settlement with one of them, then okay, tax me on $15,000 at what, 15-20%? Okay, so that's like $3,000 max in taxes. However, I'm insolvent. So basically, if you have a negative net worth, There is a form. It is IRS Form 4681, Canceled Debts. It's the insolvency worksheet, and that's what you need to fill out. You fill that out, and as long as your net worth is still negative after this loan is paid, basically as long as you still have a student loan out there, then you don't have to pay any taxes on it at all. Nobody ever tells you about that, do they? Alright, so now there's a few other things I wanted to mention in this video. Another thing that I want to say is if you defaulted on your loan, there's a couple of other benefits to it. And one of those benefits is that it is no longer student loan debt. It is consumer debt. And you might not think that matters, but it does, because remember, you can't file for bankruptcy to get you out of this mess, because student loan debt is not, I can't remember the word for it, but dischargeable. It's not dischargeable in bankruptcy. But guess what? When it's no longer a student loan, it is. Now, I'm not going to file for bankruptcy. I have no debts other than my student loans. But for someone out there, that might be a great option. You know, if you end up not being able to pay, and you default on your loan, and suddenly $30,000, $60,000, $90,000, $120,000 of your debt is no longer a student loan debt and is now a consumer debt, then that might be a good option for you. All right, and I'm sure I'm leaving some things out here. Hopefully I'll remember before we end this video. But the one thing that I really want to say is that don't set out trying to default on your student loans. It is a bad thing. There are a lot of consequences of it, okay? But it's not all bad. There are some positive things. There are constructive things that you can do, and there are benefits to be gained from this. Probably a fourth thing that I can mention is that when you default on your student loans, you would think that that's going to be a huge hit to your credit. But it's not. And let me explain why. When you default on the student loan, the account shows up as closed. And now, there will be a notation on there that you defaulted, or it was sold into collections or whatever. But that loan, say you had, I don't know, like mine are like $200 minimum payments a month. Well, that $200 minimum payment showed in your debt to income ratio. Okay? Now, unless they sell that debt and put it in a collection agency, lists it as a collection account, then it looks like, say it's a $30,000 loan, it looks like $30,000 and a $250 monthly payment just dropped off there. I was really shocked, but every time I defaulted on a loan, my credit score actually skyrocketed. My credit score has, I defaulted on my third loan in January, and I started working my new job in March, and if they would have been willing to work with me, I would have been able to start paying them at that point. But they weren't willing, and because of that, I defaulted on it, and I would say from March to now, it's August, my credit score has gone up 100 points. And it's been almost entirely because of that, falling off there. So, there are very positive things. And what's great is that if your credit score jumps up 100 points like that, you might be able to go to SoFi, or you might be able to go get a loan somewhere from like a bank, and pay the student debt off with that. Because the thing that happens is missing payments and things on your student loans destroys your credit, so you can't turn anywhere for help because you can't get loans, or if you can, they're higher interest rate than your student loans. And it's really frustrating, but this gives you the opportunity to do that. And again, I'm going to stress, don't look at my video and be like, oh, I'm just not going to pay my debt. Like, I'm just going to default, and then I'm going to follow this guy's steps and get out of debt that way. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't ruin it for the other people that actually need to follow this method. You should absolutely bust your ass, get a second or third job, do whatever you can to pay your loans. But if, despite that, you still default on the student loans, that's when it's okay to do this. Because, I mean, when it comes down to it, even if you were, like me, or like one of those, or if you went to one of those colleges that, basically got, I don't know, like the Corinthian college scandal, one of those things. Unless you're in a kind of situation like that, you agreed to take the loan out, and you agreed to make the payments, and you should do that, because that's the right thing to do. And hopefully you think about it that way. But if you're in a situation like mine, I hope this helps you. Don't give up hope. You actually are probably better off than you think, and you're going to make it through this, and you're going to be able to pay these off. You might have to do some finagling, but with the tips that I gave you in here, I hope that helps you to do it. If you guys have defaulted and didn't have an entirely negative experience, I'd like to hear about it in the comments. I hope that the comments on this video can be like a forum for people to help each other with their, that are kind of in this situation. If you like this video, give it a like. I know this is going to be a controversial video because it goes opposite to everything anybody that knows about finance is going to tell you, but this is what's worked for me. This is what I'm doing, and I can tell you that it absolutely 100% works, and I hope that it works for you as well. So give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you hate me. I don't really care. And if you have a similar story, leave it in the comments. Hope you guys can help each other out down there, and I'll chime in occasionally. I do read all of the comments and the messages that you send me. My next video might be a little while off. We'll see. Could be tomorrow. But I've got some topics lined up that I do want to make some videos about. I hope you guys appreciate the finance videos, but I know there are people that are here for my genealogy videos and stuff as well, so probably the next video I make will not be finance related. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you have any comments about this, make sure to leave them below. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll keep bringing the content. Thanks, guys.